You're listening to Runions Have Layers, the podcast where two siblings explore the many layers of life and mental wellness, where vulnerability meets strength and where every shared story is a step towards self-discovery. Join us as we uncover the richness of our experiences and find empowerment in every layer. Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about self-care and the importance of making it a priority in our lives, a daily habit. Sometimes we don't make self-care a priority because we think it's going to take too much time, or we think that it's selfish, or we feel guilty about it. And we're going to kind of unpack some of that today. So today's episode is going to be just kind of a conversation about some ways that we can simplify self-care in our lives so that when we're really busy, that we can make sure that it's a priority. Something that I do, I wanted to share something I do. And then Brian, I want you to share something that you do. There's a couple of things that I have in mind. One is I use my sun lamp on a regular basis because I'm deficient in vitamin D. And it just feels good to sit there by the lamp for a good 5 minutes and pretend I'm at the beach. You know, it puts me in a good mood. And then another thing that I've done recently is make my skincare a priority. As we get older, our skin ages, and I just wanted to take care of that. So that's something every day that I do that doesn't really take a whole lot of time, but that is beneficial and has become important to me. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I have also tried to make my skincare a little bit more of a priority. I think that being a man, it's not as much in the culture for men to take care of their skin, but I've been trying to do that more and, wash my face and use lotion and things like that and have tattoos. So that has helped me to do that. But also, and something that a lot of people don't consider self-care, but is setting boundaries. That's something that I have found that has really helped me to self-protect and take care of myself in terms of like my time. I really value my time. Mm-hmm. And so whenever like in the past, I feel like I may have overcommitted myself and then I get stressed out and then I might like resent someone because they're like, oh, well, you asked me to do this and now I'm having to do all this extra stuff. But yeah, just, being really aware of what I'm able to do and what I'm not able to do. And just being honest about that and saying, this, not that I don't want to help you or I don't want to do this thing, but I just can't do that right now. I just don't have the time. And to me, that is a way to self-care because then that allows me to do the things that I want to do that will allow me to enjoy the things that I'm doing on a daily basis and I won't feel stressed out. Otherwise, it's easy for me because I'm a very efficient worker and I can take on a lot without getting super stressed out. I can do that in the short term, but if I do that for a long term and it's an extended thing, then I know that I'll get stressed out and then I'll have to like let something go. And so in an effort to not do that, I try to like be proactive about that as much as possible.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. It's like preemptively you're doing self-care so that you don't get to the point where you're so stressed out and overloaded, that you have to do something
exactly
for the stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of like the essentials of self-care. For me, coffee is a self-care and it's probably more of an addiction than self-care at this point, but it's something that I do because I know it's going to help me to get through the day. And I buy nice coffee because I enjoy it and I like the process of grinding coffee and making coffee, steaming milk and doing all that sort of stuff. So for me, coffee is a huge self-care essential. What's something for you?
So you're a coffee snob.
I wouldn't say snob, but I mean, I do enjoy really nice coffee. I definitely can't drink shitty coffee, like just normal, like drip coffee that's like really watery. It has to be strong coffee.
I recently started doing restorative yoga a couple of times during the week, to help me relax, to help with stress management, and also for exercise, for movement. And that's something that I've really enjoyed and actually has benefited me in ways that I didn't expect it to. And so that's something that I'm making a priority. And I'm really happy about that because that's not something I've ever really been interested in doing previously.
I'm trying to get flexible this year is one of my main goals is to try to touch my toes because I'm never been able to bend over
Me
and
either.
touch my toes very easily. I don't think anyone in our family, Barry can't. I don't know if Brandon can, but those are our brothers for anyone who doesn't know us. And yeah, so something I'm trying to do is to just like do something every day that is moving towards that goal, and doing a slight stretch, or like I've been using foam rollers to like help with my back, like when I wake up, to just loosen my muscles a little bit, and like on my quads, just it just helps my muscles to feel not as tense and a little bit like less painful,
Yeah.
just walking around. And because I sit a lot at work, and I also stand a lot too. It's sort of a 50-50 split. And so I don't have a whole lot of opportunities to always like stretch and really work on my muscles. So I try to do that in the morning. And that's a way that I've been trying to take care of myself more. And it's been really beneficial. Like you said, it's sort of beneficial in ways that you don't really expect. And it's just like, it's nice to move your body and just have some sort of embodied practice, because I feel like that gets us out of our heads too,
Yeah.
and allows us to connect with our body more, which allows us to kind of love ourselves a little bit more, because then you see the progress that you're making too, and you're like, oh wow, like I feel better. It releases a lot of chemicals in our body that we don't normally get to release if we're just sitting and
Right.
we're using our brains. So that's been a really great way to care for myself physically. What about some like spiritual essentials and aspects of self-care? I'm not a religious person, and I know that you're moving away from that a little bit right now. And like for me, some like spiritual, I guess, aspects is I've been getting like into tarot cards a lot more, and exploring that. I had a what's that thing when you talk to someone and they fortune teller.
Oh, psychic?
A psychic, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I recently did that, where I talked to someone and they did like a psychic reading, and I'm into like zodiac stuff and everything. So I feel like I use that as a way for self-care to just kind of give me perspective on the world and on other people. And like if I meet someone that I don't know how to deal with, like I'll try to figure out what their sign is, and I'll look up details about their sign and try to understand them a little bit better, how to communicate with them, things that there might be issues with my sign and their sign. Yeah, I've just been that's something that I use for spiritual self-care, is to really like to help guide and help me understand the world.
Mhm.
Is there anything like that that you're into?
I do. Every single day I have mantras and affirmations that I repeat to myself just randomly throughout the day, not just mindlessly over and over for, 5 or 10 minutes. But for me, that's an important part of self-care because it helps with my mindset. And then of course, your thoughts influence how you feel. So that is something that I got into the habit of doing, gosh, probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I mean, I don't want to be dramatic, but it really changed my life. Like, I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
in combination with a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's one of the main tools that I use, or to me, it's self-care. Other people may not consider it, but for me, it really is.
Where did you find the mantras? Like, do you find them on Instagram, or did you find them on a website? Like, how did you like find those things initially? Did someone tell you about them, or like, how did that come out?
I probably found them online initially. I create my own now, my own affirmations and my own mantras. It just basically depending on what's going on in my life. The one thing that I like to say is, regardless of the situation, everything is going to work out fine. And that sounds silly. It sounds kind of like you're just smoothing things over or brushing it under the rug. But that one simple phrase has helped me through a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
that's based on my personal situations and opinions, and other people, it may feel very dismissive. But yeah, initially I found them online. I'm trying to remember where I even heard about it. I think it was probably in the church I was going to at the time, because they were all about speaking things into existence. And, it's very similar to the law of attraction, but not
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And so it was kind of like, that's where I think I initially learned from it, or learned about it. And yeah, I mean, you can find that stuff online anywhere,
Yeah.
mantras or
It seems to be a
affirmations.
lot more like out there than it used to be. Like 10 years ago, I think you would hear people talk about it, but I feel like it's a lot more present now. Like more
Mhm.
people are posting that stuff on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and places, and even on YouTube. They have videos of stuff that will repeat mantras back to you. They'll will play for an extended period of time. And a mantra that I've used over the past probably year or so is everything is as it should be.
Mhm.
And that's something sort of like you that, I have personal connection to, and just like the experiences that I have had over the past year or so, and seeing some of the dots in my life from over a period of time sort of connecting in a really weird synchronistic kind of way. I don't know if that's the right word to use, or
Yeah.
if I pronounce it right, but yeah, it's like it was just really weird, and I just started thinking, it's like, man, like that's crazy that all of these different people that I knew kind of connected in this weird way, and it got me thinking just kind of bigger picture. And I also questioned a little bit about like my beliefs and my values and like the way that I was thinking of the world. And so I know that's probably another topic, but I won't go too much into that. So yeah, that's sort of a mantra that I use to kind of remind me whenever things aren't going the way that I'm hoping to, or that I'm maybe feeling down or something. I remind myself of that, and that's something that helps me.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that real quick. There's another one that really helps me is this or something better. When things aren't working out the way that we hope that they will, at least in my experience, like I can look back and see how the things that I thought were the worst things ever in the world were actually the best things that ever happened to me and propelled me
Mm-hmm.
forward. And so it helps me to remind myself that, if it's not this, it's going to be something better. And it may not feel like it, or it may not seem like it at the moment, but it is. And I know we're kind of getting off into a different topic, but for me, this is something I do every single day that is a form of self-care for me. So
Yeah, I think it goes to show that self-care takes so many different forms, and
mhm.
that everyone can see self-care in a specific way. And I think maybe people have this idea of what self-care is, like, oh, I'm going to take a bubble bath, I'm going to go home and I'm going to drink wine, I'm going to get a massage, I'm going to do all this like fancy things that are, I think those things are forms of self-care, and can be, but there's also another whole other vast set of options that people can use that are more daily practices, repetitive sort of things that can also contribute to overall self-care, and just being aware of what we need to get through the day, and like what our triggers are and what sets us off, how to relax ourselves and how to keep us at bay with a lot of the things that we have. The more that we become more self-aware of who we are and what we need to be healthy and to move forward, then we can start to implement a lot of these self-care things that we're talking about now. So I think it is a kind of a broad topic, and I think a lot of people will relate in a lot of different ways. But, like I said before, just moving forward a little bit in the self-care essentials segment, is that setting boundaries often isn't considered self-care, but it absolutely is, because it's, for me, directly related to my time
Mhm.
and what I'm contributing to someone else with. Like if someone asks me about something, or if they want me to do something or help them, and I can't do it, and setting that boundary is a really healthy way to care for yourself. And also, I think it cares for the relationship at the same time, because if you do end up committing to that, you really don't have the time for it, that can affect your relationship and put pressure on the relationship in a way. It's not only helping yourself, but it's helping other people. And it's a great way to start if you aren't familiar with like how to express emotions, because you can say, like, I'm feeling really, really stressed right now, or I'm feeling like I don't have a lot of energy to contribute to this, so I really can't help you. So I think there's a lot of sort of like emotional intelligence that plays into that, but it definitely is a form of self-care.
Yeah, definitely. Because going back to when you're talking about relationships, regardless of the type of relationship, if we don't set boundaries, then we do it out of obligation. And then we start resenting the person, the job, whatever it is that we're giving our time to. And that is a really important part of self-care. It reminds me of when you were talking about making it a daily habit. and I don't know where this quote came from the internet on a meme somewhere, so I don't know where it originated, but it's something to the effect of self-care isn't bubble baths and eating chocolate and getting massages like you were talking about. It's about building a life that you don't have to take a vacation from. And
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I really took into consideration and really made an intention, or, intentionally started to do things, because while I do still want a vacation and I want my life to be one great big vacation, it is a lot less stressful, other than situations that I can't help. That's always going to happen in life, but in
Mm,
terms
yeah.
of my personal day-to-day things, that's something that I really wanted to put into practice for myself.
Yeah, it sure makes life a lot easier to bear, because when you have these things that are in place that are part of your daily routines, and they seem like small little things, but those small things add up and they really contribute to an overall, I think, better daily experience, when it's like those small little things that just make your day just a little bit better, and you
Yeah.
stress just a little bit less, and over a period of time, that doesn't pile on to where you're like, oh man, I need a vacation right now, to where
Yeah.
you're so stressed out, and you just need to like shut down for like a week and not do anything. What about things that bring us joy? I think I mean, self-care is about doing things that make us happy. For me, things that I do for my self-care is I take photos. I'm a photographer. And so doing things that I enjoy, that is purely about just enjoyment, and like playing music, playing guitar, listening to music. Like those are all things that I do as part of self-care. Like if I'm feeling down or if I'm feeling a little negative, that I just will do something that I really enjoy to do.
Yeah, me too. And we talked about this a little bit in the habits episode, about doing things every day that make you have a better day, by activating the happy hormones. And I do a lot of that, but, like I don't play an instrument, but I sing. And recently I've been making it a habit to sing in the car when I'm driving, because it, helps regulate your nervous system and helps lower stress and, all those good things. And I am a podcast listener. And I'm a constant learner. So I always have like a course that I'm going through or something like that. But I've made it more of an intention to do something musical, sing, practice scales. Cause I haven't sang in a while. And so, my voice can't sing like it used to, as far as the amount of time. Um, but that's, I mean, and anybody can do that. You don't have to be a singer to sing in the car.
Mhm.
And then a couple of other things that I do is I make sure to watch something funny every single day, whether it's a TV show or a TikTok video, whatever. And something else that I wanted to mention is, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you do. It can be surrounding yourself with things that make you happy, like the color that makes you happy. Like mom's color's pink and it's all over her house because it
Mhm.
makes her happy,
Yeah.
or having your favorite blanket while you're sitting there with a mug of tea or a glass of wine watching your favorite show, or the
Mhm.
fireplace, things like that make your environment comfortable, and that you really enjoy being there. That's a form of self-care also.
Yeah, there's this I've been doing this it's called yoga nidra stuff at night. It's kind of
Mhm.
like a body scan thing, and it helps you relax. And something that they are always saying is to get like absolutely comfortable, and it's worth the extra effort to be 100% comfortable. And I've started to think about that just in general, like when I'm sitting down or whenever I'm, wearing clothes or whatever. I'm always thinking like, oh, I'm not really comfortable in this. I'm not going to wear this. Or like when I'm sitting down to watch a show or something, I'll think about, oh, like I'm not totally comfortable right now. Like I'm going to get more comfortable. I don't know. It's just sort of opened up a little bit more perspective on how comfortable am I. And I think that's like you're saying, having things around you that make your environment more comfortable, like the temperature in the room, the
Mhm.
blanket, or socks or no socks, like I think
Right.
there's just like a lot of things that, yeah, personally, sometimes I just deal with, and I'm just like,
Mhm.
whatever. I don't want to get up and put on a pair of socks or whatever, even though my feet are freezing. Um, like, I don't know. It's just kind of opened up that part a little bit more for me. and let me enjoy like just existing more.
Hmm.
Because I like if life is not enjoyable and you don't enjoy the existence, it's kind of it becomes this like mundane, like I don't know, hamster wheel kind of thing. And I feel like there's a lot of small things, and life isn't perfect. Perfect. I'm not trying to, say it's anything grand or whatever, but I think there are these small things that we can do that we have in our control to make our environment a little bit better, a little bit nicer. And I think overall that can contribute to your like the self-care and the self-love. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You don't have to go out and buy all this stuff. It sort of goes back to what we talked about, and we talked about mindfulness a
Hmm.
few episodes ago, and also habits, and just kind of like being mindful about the things that we have in our life and the things that are around us, and like how we go through life. And it's so easy to get into this like perpetual like routine of negativity or things that stress us out. And so I just think that there's a lot there to unpack, that people can be more mindful and can be more aware of our surroundings, and that can contribute to a better self-care, just in general.
For sure. I also wanted to talk about, because as you were talking, I was thinking, I want to talk about some of the obstacles to self care and why people don't do it and what is preventing people from doing it. And a lot of times people think it's selfish to take care of themselves. And I'm not really sure where that comes from. I know some of it probably comes from different religions, like put the other person first and, whatever. And I mean, that's not a bad thing to do, but going back to the analogy of, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to care for yourself first before you can give, your care and attention and love and all of that away. And so that's something I realize I cannot be a good mom, wife, sister, employee, all of those things if I'm not taking care of myself first. And so I don't think that it's selfish. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people feel that, especially if they're in a relationship with someone or they have kids. I mean, I think everyone feels it differently, because I think a lot of people put their career first and they feel
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I've got to, this is going to distract from my career, or I need to be working all the time. And I think that perhaps parents are thinking, oh, well, I have to put my kids first, or I have to, think about them first. But so I think that's where the guilt comes from, and feeling like they don't have the time to contribute to themselves. But like we're talking about, it doesn't have to be this long thing. That can be small little things. It can be 5 minutes, it can be like whenever you're in the car, when you're driving, like singing and stuff like that. There are things that we can do even on the go. And it comes down to just deciding that we're going to prioritize ourselves in this moment, and to just be aware of that, and to just love ourselves a little bit, and just give ourselves a little bit of a break to just enjoy the moment, and to just take that time to be with ourselves.
I think a lot of people, and I'm speaking from experience because this used to be me. I would try to, I don't know, please. I was a people pleaser and I was giving all this love away, but I didn't love myself. And that was kind of the first thing that I needed to do. And that it's not going to happen overnight, but self-care helped me with that. It helped me to eat more mindfully and try to get nutrition and move my body and all the things that are good for me to do.
Yeah, it really comes down to shifting our mindsets, and not letting it feel like when we're taking care of ourselves and we're prioritizing ourselves, that means that we're deprioritizing something else.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I think the way I think about it is that when I'm able to be at my best and at 100%, and I feel good about what I'm doing, then everything else I feel better about, because then I feel like I'm more prepared. I feel like I'm more engaged. I feel like I'm more rested. feel like I have more energy. Like, so whenever we take care of ourselves, like you're saying, you can't pour from an empty cup, to fill our cup back up. And whatever that means for everyone else, you know, and it means something different for everyone else and for ourselves, and it's individual. So whatever that means to fill your cup back up, that allows you to contribute and be more engaged with everything else in your life. And which as a result, you know, will improve your relationships. It will improve your work performance. It will improve your sleep. It'll improve everything else. And actually, it's like probably the most selfless thing you could do in a way, from a certain point of view, because it's helping everything else that is that you're included in.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to mention, you know, this is coming out on Valentine's Day. Be your own Valentine. You know, all the things that you don't normally do for yourself, make today an exception and start today and do just one little thing that's going to help you build those habits of self-care.
What do you think are some obstacles that people experience with, like, I don't know, doing some self-care? I don't know, like what's an obstacle that you think that a lot of people might experience or might use as an excuse?
Well, we talked about mindset, you know, people thinking that it's selfish or they feel guilty. Time, I think, is one, not because people don't have the time. I think they think that it's going to take a whole lot of time and don't necessarily realize that, or haven't identified things that they can do in, you know, 5 minutes. And so I think time is also an obstacle. And you know, I don't know, maybe not realizing how beneficial that it really can be, not being educated on the things that you can do. Because, like we talked about, when people say self care, most people, I don't want to say everybody, think about bubble baths and going to get a massage, and all of those are self care and they're awesome, but they're not the only options. There's so many other things you can do. So I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think the time thing for sure is probably for me the hardest thing that I had to consider, because I'm always thinking about the time, but it's, yeah, like it doesn't take a lot of time. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes here and there, it's not a big commitment there. Some people might, because they have this misconception of like self-care is like a massage or whatever, people don't have the money to spend. And so they feel like, oh, if I go out and spend money on myself, then it takes away from, you know, the responsibilities and obligations I have. So I think that just like people being aware that you don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money on yourself for it to be self-care. You can, you know, you can do something that you really like love to do, that you enjoy to do. A bubble bath doesn't really cost any money. It's just soap and water. So I think that shifting, again, going back to the shifting your mindset and thinking about things that you truly enjoy in life, that is really what self-care is. It doesn't have to be about going out and spending money on yourself and doing this whole lavish experience, which if you can afford that, then hell yeah, go out and do that, because it's great. But if you don't have the money, you don't have the time for that, going back to time, you know, like find little small ways that, you know, you can get into there.
When you were talking, it made me think about time, and specifically parents or mothers of small children, parents of small children. A lot of times they feel overwhelmed or feel like they don't have time. And that may be true. And that's kind of why we're identifying some of the things that you can do in just minutes. I also wanted to point out that doing things for yourself is also benefiting your children. And it's also teaching them that self-care is important and taking care of yourself is important.
Exactly. Now that we're into the new year, we're in February still, and we still have so much more year to go. You know, these are three things that I think can help to, you know, establish those self-care essentials and practices. Setting some goals and things that you can put into place is a really great place to start, so you can help to keep yourself accountable and something that you can refer back to. And they don't have to be a lot of goals. It could just be one or two small goals that you want to do to help keep yourself accountable to work on the self-care. Another thing is to find people that can help to support you and to keep you accountable. Like share it with a good friend of yours, share it with a sibling, share it with a parent, whoever that is, and use them as a resource to help you to, you know, keep your self-care routine intact. And then also like reframing the challenges as opportunities for growth. Whenever you aren't able to do that, or whenever you something comes up and it detracts from your self-care, find ways to question, like, well, okay, this thing came up. Do I need to do it at a different time? Is where I'm doing it not a great place? Maybe there's too many disruptions. So try to identify those things that are preventing you from doing that. So I think those are three really concrete ways that you can help to get self-care routine into your life. It can help to foster a sense of self-care and self-love, and to really help you to be less stressed and to feel more happy. And it'll, like we said before, I feel like for me, it helps with all the other areas of my life as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for joining us and peeling back the layers today. If you enjoyed this podcast and you'd like to support it, please share it with others, and please leave a review, like, subscribe, all that jazz. For more information about us, you can visit runionshavelayers.com, where you can find how to get connected with us and find resources mentioned in our episodes. Bye for now.